welcome to the Wealthy Landscaper Marketing Discussion. We're going to just jump into a lot of things and get into questions at the end. My first thing that I want to talk about is content, because I truly believe that content is kind of the unlock for marketing businesses, or for landscaping businesses when it comes to marketing. I think there's a lot of great stuff that we can talk about now. And for anybody who is watching this or who is jumping on the call later on, this is going to be available for everybody to check out after. I'm just going to pull up my notes here and we can rip through it. All right. So, you know what? Just before we do hop in, anybody on here have anything specific that they want to hit on at the end? Because I'm positive that I could take a lot of time talking about the content stuff. But if there's specific questions just before we jump in, I'll try and leave as much time as I can to answer those. Anybody here have any questions that they want to talk about for sure on this call? Okay, then what we'll do is we'll jump in, and if anybody has anything that they want to talk about, just toss your hand up. You can just throw a little reaction by putting your hand up, and I think Zoom will recognize it sometimes. No, okay, well then hit us up in the chat, and someone just bug me or just pop off mute and throw a question up. And let's jump right into it. Okay, so first, I think it's important to understand exactly what we're talking about when we talk about content, because there's a lot of things that you can do in your business that are going to help you become more efficient. They can increase things by a matter of percentage, but generally, you can't go past like 100% on those things. So when we're talking about content, we're talking about kind of a big opportunity. It's an order of magnitude. You can get multipliers that go way above what 100% can do. You can get better than your best, essentially. So when we're talking about increasing the percentage of jobs that you sell from like 10 to 15%, that's amazing. And we'll definitely take that when we can. But what if you spent the same amount of time getting twice as many inquiries? Then you'd go from 10 to 20%, essentially. But it takes, what I would say, there's diminishing returns as you're trying to get more efficient with things. Eventually, you're probably not going to ever convert on more than 50% of your sales. And if you do, great for you, but you can always get 2 times as much traffic. You can always get 2 times as many inquiries. It just takes time and it takes effort. And that's what I want to talk about when we're talking about content. So incremental improvements like 10% increases in efficiency are great, but you can't 100x your conversion rate unless you're at 1%. And then in that case, we could probably work on that a little bit. But you can 100 times your traffic. So content is all about taking those big swings and trying to engage with as many people as you can and bring more traffic into your sales process. So I guess the first thing is opening your mind up to the dramatic effects that content can have on your business, because it is really one of those few things. It's like, it would be like hiring more salespeople. You can hire more salespeople and they'll start more conversations and they'll get more people engaged with your business. But content is one of those things that does it automatically. You don't need to pay people to do it. You can actually just go out with your phone and start doing it today. So that's one thing. Now a little bit about me and why I am here, I guess. So over the past 15 years, I've worked with brands that like Chevy, Rogers, TD Bank, and brands that you've never heard of, like infrastructure companies that rebuild water mains, dozens of real estate developers, and a vet clinic where I got like a 10-foot boa wrapped around my neck for a photo. And I've seen a lot of these different businesses have different ideas about what they think their customers think. And it's something that's so easy to do, because I think when anybody starts a business, whenever you started your business, it's really easy to feel like you're in touch with the customer. because you are. That's how you start your business. That's how you get your first job, is because you have that relationship. Nobody's going to take a risk on you if you don't have that relationship. And so you have a really good um, sort of idea about what your customer is thinking. As your business grows and as you look for new opportunities that are maybe outside of your uh, really close circle and your understanding of your customers, then you start to kind of slide away from that, where you might not have that same connection with your customer anymore. And I've seen it happen with small businesses where they get so focused on their product or service and just making it better and better and better that they kind of forget about the customer. But this gets really, really um, obvious when you look at really big brands where the disconnect is so huge, and that's why they pay focus groups, and that's why they do so many surveys, and that's why they do all these things to learn about their customers so that they can just say the right words that will get them to buy. So let me just when I see brands that are totally dialed into their customer, where the brand knows exactly what to do to make their customers buy. I've seen that, and I've also seen brands that are wasting millions of dollars. Like, it's crazy. They're putting together marketing and they're getting no results, but it's almost like a status game for them. They think, okay, if I just spend more money, the results that my business sees are because of that thing. But in reality, if when our team comes in and we track the actual analytics, the results are not coming from the marketing spends that they think it is. It's usually coming from referrals, or it's coming from something else. And that's kind of what I fight against in the work that I do with my brand Sawmill. And that's kind of what I want to talk about here, is how we can be really efficient with that and understand what our audience is doing. And so when there are lots of ways to learn about how your audience thinks and what makes them tick, but there's a connection. There's a connection that needs to be established in the first place between your brand and the audience, and that connection is made through content. If you rewind, I don't know, if you rewind even just 10 years ago, either at the start of social media or just before it, um, the connections generally were made between salespeople, or they were made on broadcast television. They were made through yellow pages or posters, that sort of thing. But nowadays, it's so easy to get in front of a group of people. You can do it through social media. So the conversations have become digital, and through that, you're able to make one message and send it out, broadcast it out to a group of people, and just be much more effective with it. So we're going to jump into a bunch of stuff right now about content and kind of what it is, how you should be doing it, all that type of stuff, and why it's important. But if you jump off before we get to the end of this, there's one thing that you should leave with. It's whatever you do, make content about it and share it, and you will outperform the competition. There's just endless results that have shown this. If you just start today, you could do a really bad job. You could just not spend any money, just do whatever you need to do, just with you and your phone, and you are going to outperform the competition, because that's how it works. If people know that you exist and they know that they can buy your thing, you will sell it. But if nobody knows that you exist and they don't know what you offer, nobody can buy it. And it's just so much different than how it used to be 10, 15 years ago. So the simplest way of looking at this is, if you have 50 customers, then you have 50 people that know what you do. And even then, those people have already bought your thing, so they're much less likely to buy again. But if you have 1,000 followers on social media, if you have 1,000 followers on social media and you make content talking about your work, then you've got a much wider reach. Even if those people aren't your customers, they're not going to be able to share the same stories that your customers have, but you have that broader reach. You have more opportunity to bring people into your circles. It's really important to start making content. So if everything is the same between two landscaping businesses, the one that makes the content will be more successful. It's that simple. And over time, any business that is making content will outperform their competitors who aren't. And so that's the baseline. Start today, use your phone, and you will outperform your competition. That's the baseline. There's no reason to not do it because it is that simple. I can tell you firsthand, I'm a perfectionist. I've been working my way out of it, but coming up producing content for these really large brands, it taught me that the only thing that mattered was quality and that you could always, always improve because this brand was willing to pay $100,000 for their web content, and this brand was willing to pay $250,000. What's the difference between the two in what we deliver? It's literally just me and my team sitting at the computer longer, bringing more experts onto the production and spending more time lighting things. It is literally a game of perfection. So I recently got into producing content, doing more stuff like this. And it took me, I don't know, 4 years of tripping over myself, trying a bunch of things, basically trying to do everything that I could to not get in front of the camera. Which seems funny because I don't mind it, but it's one of those things where I was just like, I wasn't going to be good enough for even myself. And now that we're here, it just seems like, okay, the Band-Aid is ripped off and it's time to go because I know how important it is for brands, but I can see now how important it is for me too in how I'm going to talk about my business, how I'm going to interact with my audience and get them more excited about the things that we can offer them. So anyway, that's a little bit of a personal bit there. Okay. So continuing on, the first thing that I want to talk about now that we're into the thick of content is what is content? And for the purpose of this discussion, it's video. That's the best type of content that you can be making right now. When it comes to sharing it via social media or YouTube, your website, video is the biggest motivator that you can make in terms of content. Then it's photos, and then written content like blog posts or articles. So like I said earlier, content is your connection to your audience. Your audience is everyone who's connected to your brand, from prospects through to previous customers or past purchasers. If you're not producing content, then it's very difficult to maintain a connection with those customers, especially in today's day and age where things come and go so quickly and everything's digital. If you're not producing content, in order to maintain the same sort of type of dynamic relationship with a previous customer, you would have to be like sending them emails, checking in with them, following up with them. All those things are important and you should do those too. But content is just a great way to kind of like check off the box of being like, okay, people know what we're up to. If someone's going to come back for another job, they're probably going to reach out to you, not just because you did their work 5 years ago, but also because they have seen 100, 300, 1,500 posts from you since then in those 5 years. So that's something that's just really important to consider, is that is your connection. You producing that, sharing it, getting them to follow you, that's your connection that maintains that relationship. On top of that, with social media, you also get this opportunity for like a casino-like experience with virality, right? So yes, you are maintaining the connection with your customers, with your audience. You are trying to engage with new people, but you also have this kind of slot machine that you can pull. And if you get a good piece of content, you're not just going to like say, hey, previous customers, look, we're still making stuff. And like, hey, look at the latest project we did. But you're also going to have thousands of new eyeballs on this piece of content. And it's the slot machine. It's 100% a gamble, and 99.9% of the time, it's never going to happen to you. But if you are consistent and you stay at it all the time, then you're getting those free pulls in the slot machine, and eventually it can work out. We've seen it ourselves. So that is what is content. And the more that you connect with your audience and the more good content that you share, it gives you the opportunity to increase your reach. That's literally what the algorithms are built for. They want to help you as much as they can, which is kind of funny, like, because it's very selfish for them. I mean, we all know why they do it. They just want to keep eyes on the platform. But the idea is that if you're producing good content, they are going to support you by showing it to more people. In case you don't know exactly how social media works, and it's changing all the time. So someone's going to watch this and they're going to say, hey, that's not exactly how it works anymore. But the way that the algorithms work is that I think it's something like 5% right now. Maybe it's 1% even that they've reduced it down to. But essentially, if you have 1,000 followers, or let's say you have 100 followers, just for easy numbers, they're going to show it to 1 to 5 people in your followership. And if those 1 to 5 people engage with that post, then they're going to show it to more people and more people of your followership. But they're also going to find lookalikes that look just like those people that have engaged with your post, and they're going to share it out with them as well, out in the For You page, but also in the new, like, suggested for you in the feed as well. You'll see that. So it's just important to try and make as good a content as you can. Things that are going to get engagement is what defines good content. It's not always, hey, this is exactly the answer that someone's looking for, but sometimes it's, hey, how can I get people to feel a certain way, or how can I get them to ask a question about something? And that could be good content. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is, why is content important for me? So, I mean, I'm assuming you have some good ideas now based on the stuff that I've talked about, but one of the reasons why content is so important is because it is so much of how we communicate now. I call it content SEO. And if there's anybody that really likes SEO that either is on the call right now or is going to watch this later, I apologize, because it's not at all SEO, but I call it content SEO because I think it's really important. And here's why. So before social media, you might think of something that you need or something that you want to buy, like new shoes. And you would either go to a store, or you would pop on Google and you would type in, best shoes for me. I am this way or whatever. And it would suggest the best shoes for you. That is what SEO did. But that's not exactly how things are sold now, because there's so much influence through social media. And so SEO is still super important, because it's going to help you get in front of people when they search for, XYZ or landscaping in XYZ area. Sure, that's great. But it's all of the opportunity that you have to influence someone's decisions before they even look for that thing that is super important. So that's what I'm going to get into. That's why I call it content SEO. So if I'm scrolling through Instagram and someone I admire shares something, I'm going to start thinking about that, even if it's subconsciously. And it could be months later, but let's say that Kevin posted something and he said, hey, just wrapped up a great project. Check out this waterfall feature. And I'm like, waterfall feature? That's crazy. I never thought about that. Months later, I could be thinking to myself, could be nice to have a waterfall feature. And because we have so much content jammed into our eyeballs all the time, chances that I remember that it's Kevin who shared this photo that subconsciously affected me and my decision-making process, very, very small. And so I actually think it's my idea that I should do this waterfall. And that's the power of content, really. That's the power of social media using good content. And so I think, if we can start making good content and you can start sharing it consistently, you are going to see the benefits of it. I always say it's going to take at least 6 months of very, very consistent posting. It could be every day in some cases. That's what I encourage most of our clients to do, is to start with every day. But you won't see the benefits of it for 6 months. So it's a very large investment, and we'll get into that. But what I want to say is that that's how it comes about. It comes about in those very long timelines where someone forgets about seeing your post, your content, or whatever. And then at some point, they're going to go, oh, right, I should get that water feature in my landscaping. That's such a good idea. It would look so good in my backyard. They aren't going to connect it with Kevin. So I'm not going to go back and be like, oh yeah, it's Kevin. So I'll just like DM Kevin right now and be like, da 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 da. That's not how our brains work. I'm like, that's my idea. I'm so smart. I really like that. That's going to be so good. And then I'm going to go looking for a landscaper that has done work that is similar to that. And if Kevin is posting every day chances are I'm going to see his post and I'm going to go, that's the guy that I want to work on it. Even though I don't remember that Kevin is the guy who originally posted the photo, I'm going to come back to him 6 months later and say, hey, would you mind building me a water feature? Have you ever done anything like that? He's going to send me a photo. I'm going to go, that one looks really good. Chances are it's the same one I saw. So that's content SEO. That's why I think it's really important. And that's why you should be posting super consistently. And in 6 months, you'll see a big difference. So not only will you grow your reach through that consistent posting because the platforms love it, they love showing um, they love showing people accounts that are consistent. That's probably the best way of saying it. They want to give someone an experience where they can feel like they're a part of something. And so they want to show people accounts that are consistently posting content and good content that's getting lots of engagement. Okay, so that is why it's important for you. And now the last no, I've got two more after this. Okay, so this is kind of the last of the three, and then we get into more of the how. So what's possible for me? So this is my favorite thing to talk about. I am an optimist through and through, and so I love talking about sort of where things can go for people. And I think that the math is kind of crazy, but before we get into that, I just want to talk about two things. So the social media, you with social media, you will not be an overnight success. It is nearly impossible. And best to just kind of throw that out altogether. Of course, hit that slot machine, keep posting up consistent content, but don't go into it thinking, okay, you know what, I've got 100, 500, 1,000 followers right now. Chances are I start posting consistently and I'm going to be at like 10,000 in 2 months. No, you're going to be at like 2,000 in 6 months. But what's going to happen is that those 2,000 people are going to get more and more of your content because the algorithm doesn't work that way at the beginning. It doesn't work in the way of like, okay, we're going to double and triple this person's size because they've been posting consistently. What happens is they start going, okay, I'm going to show more and more of their audience their content because they've been posting consistently. And then what happens is as those people engage with it more, like I was saying earlier, then it's going to start broadening out your reach. So that's the first thing. You will not be an overnight success. And chances are you will have to post daily for 6 months, probably a minimum of 10 hours per week in terms of work. And in 6 months, you will see the difference. So it's a big investment. I say 10 hours. Obviously, you can do more with less and you can do less with more, but that's kind of the baseline of what I tell people. I think about it again in the same way of like an in-person sales force. Imagine that you were knocking on doors to sell your services. You would spend 25% of your time doing that. 100%, you would give 20% of your 25% of your time to selling your service. This is the same way. It's just that you don't reap the benefits for 6 months and you have to be super consistent. So you can't take a day off of selling. You got to keep producing content and it will come. Number two, you will need to be incredibly thoughtful. So remember what I was talking about when I was talking about baseline? I was like, okay, the baseline is that you hold up your phone and you post content and you do it every day and you're consistent and you will outperform the competition. Now, if your competition is doing that, you have to be more thoughtful than them. You have to produce better content. That doesn't mean that you have to get a better camera. That's kind of like, that's a fallacy that we all fall into, I think, is, you know, the better tool is going to, the bigger tool is going to do a better job kind of thing. But in this case, it's not at all true, especially when it comes to social media. It's not the social media that it was 5 years ago when it was more of a portfolio style where you had to show the best looking stuff all of the time. Today, we just want updates. We want how-tos. We want simple guides, walkthroughs, all that type of stuff. We want things that we can engage with as consumers. So number two, you have to be super thoughtful. And that means that your best results will come when you're always thinking, what does my audience want? What are my audience's goals? If you can always have your mind set on that perspective of, how can I help this person achieve their goals? It's not how can I show them the greatest work that I've done, although that is part of it because you need to be able to show them the work that you've done in order for them to trust you, in order for them to hire you, in order for you to fulfill their goals. But The most important thing is that you're always thinking about what is their goal and how can I get them there? So that's the super thoughtful part. And if you know what your audience's goals are and you are constantly fulfilling on those goals and helping them reach them, the multiplier on the effectiveness of your content can be hundreds and hundreds of times. That's why you see comedians perform so well on social media, is because they're thinking, okay, what's going to make this audience laugh? What's going to make them, watch the video for a little bit longer? What's going to make them, share this with a friend because it's so ridiculous? Those things all come because they're thinking about what their audience wants, which is, to laugh and to share in that experience with a community of people. So those are my two things. You're not going to be an overnight success. It's going to take an investment of time, 10 hours per week for 6 months. And two is that the more thoughtful you are about what your audience's goals are, and the more that you consider those your primary target, rather than showing off yourself or your work, you will see drastic results, improvements. So now, if both of those things are considered, the results can be massive. Let's say right now, like we'll get into the results and the math of it all. So let's say right now you're getting 5 inquiries per week. These could be inbound, they could be outbound, people that you're reaching out to. But let's say that you have 5 inquiries per week and you have a conversion rate of 10%. So for every 10 that you go and approach, you sell 1 of them. You actually get the sign on the dotted line for the project value. And let's say your project value is typically $40,000. So this is obviously in the landscaping world, we range with maintenance, we range with everything. So those numbers are all variable. But if you're running those numbers, that's 5 inquiries per week at a conversion rate of 10% with project values of 40,000, then your total sales are around $1 million, $1,040,000. So with good content, you can increase your inquiries, but you can also increase your project values, because if you're posting consistently, it's going to spread your reach. It's going to show more people who you are and what you do. So that's going to increase your inquiries. But if you're showing educational content that makes you look like a leader in the space and builds you up as someone who is very thoughtful about the work they do and they perform high quality work, so that's educational stuff. If you also deliver content that shows your work, so it backs that up by showing portfolio style images of the work that you do, the nice tight lines, the straight edges, all that sort of stuff, beautiful plantings, that's great. The biggest thing, though, is if you can show customer success stories. If you show content where someone gets on and they say, hey, Riley did such a great job on my property, and I'm so grateful that they came and did their great work through XYZ company. What's going to happen is I'm going to get on there and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, that person sounds like they had a great experience. They kind of look like me. They did a project like what I want to do because I've seen all the photos and everything. And my initial instinct is going to be to reach out and engage with that business. And that's the most important type of content that you can make. But it's through creating that good content and growing your SEO that you're going to see your inquiries go up, but that project value is going to scale with it if you use that really good type of content. So that's that. And so let's say that you do that and you do the 10 hours a week and you're obsessed with providing the highest value content to your audience and giving them the best experience, which highest value content and the best experience just means simply thinking from their point of view and thinking, how can I help them achieve their goals? Let's say that you double the inquiries that you have. You will probably more than double them, in 6 months. You will probably more than double your inquiries. So now all of a sudden you're getting 10 per week. And let's say that you keep the same conversion rate because you've been spending all your time making content and you haven't focused on your selling. That's okay. You keep the same conversion rate of 10% and you can add 20%, let's say 20% to 40% increase in your project value simply because of the demand that you have, but also how much you've been educating over your content and using your customer stories, your success stories to help reach people and reach people at all types of levels. So let's say that we double our inquiries and increase by 40% when it comes to project value. And all of a sudden you've like tripled your total sales to over $2.9 million. I believe that that's possible in a year from now, maybe sooner, if you just start posting daily and you get hyper focused on what your audience wants to hear. I totally believe that that's possible. Now, I know that that's not just free money. That's not just going to come out of nowhere. It's not just net profit, but it is definitely possible. And you're going to get very busy if you do this. So that's that. It's a ton of work, but I think it's really worth it. And I think it's something that's going to really help businesses like yours as you're trying to grow. So the last kind of one here is, how do you start? And I've mentioned it a few times, but you just start baseline. You and your phone. And I've got a couple ideas here that I wrote down. So I'm just going to read off a couple things here. So when it comes to starting, it's the easiest place to get stuck. You can go through, just like I did, knowing all of the stuff that I just talked about, and still not actually go and action any of it because it's too difficult for you to sort of get over that hurdle. And you've probably, like, there's probably people out there that have fallen into this. Like, you might have already fallen into this, and you maybe tried making it and you just couldn't stay consistent, so you put it on hold, whatever it is. You have to do the baseline. Just do the baseline of shooting yourself, shooting your stuff with or like with your phone. Just make content, whatever it is. You can talk about the job that you're on. You can go and talk about the work that your team's doing. You can interview your team. You can just talk about the latest project that you just did. You can talk about, just pull up your phone and talk. I think the greatest line that I've heard recently about this is, we just did a great podcast, and it'll be coming out very soon, with Mike from Creekside Outdoor Living. And I'm just going to look at it right here. So yeah, I typed out this line that he has in the podcast. We were talking about social media. He's found great success on social media, on TikTok and on Instagram. And the thing that he said was something to the tune of, if you have one friend in real life, if you have one friend, that means that there's someone who likes you for who you are. That's the things that you say and you do. And he's like, online, there are billions of people. And if you are yourself, people will find you. And I just thought that that was so good. He's not saying, like, because I've been on the other side of this, where we have clients that come to us that, I could never be in front of the camera. I could never do what these people do that, find success online. I mean, even like, Kev, forgive me, but like, you don't like being on camera. And guess what? People love having you on camera. Like, people love hearing what you have to say, and there's so much value in it. And I think that in the same way, there's so much value to everybody who owns a business talking about their business and their offerings and their customers and the success that they've had. So do the baseline. Pick up your phone, talk into it. And if you pay attention to your audience, if you pay attention to people and what they think and their comments, you will naturally follow that course and provide them with more and more helpful things that are going to help them achieve their goals. So if your business is under $50 million in annual sales, you're likely still or already the brand. People see your business, they think of your face. So just be yourself. Be interested in the stuff that you find interesting, and share the things that you want to share. That's the easiest way to start. And if you truly care about providing the best experience for your customers, it will come through. I really think you can just be yourself. And if you already have a successful business, if you've already started a business that has customers, chances are you're pretty good with people, and you can just be yourself, and it will come through in your content, and it will engage with more people. Never put on an act, because if you put on an act, it's so hard to maintain, and eventually you burn out and you can't stay consistent. Or it takes over your life. and you become that person. And that makes it difficult to do all the other things in your life that were really important to you before you took on this. So I don't think there's anyone out there that's probably falling into that, but I've seen it with other clients and the challenges that that presents. So just warning against that. Okay, next steps, and then we're done. Next steps. I have talked a lot about social media, but I think that there's also another important part. So there's social media, which is generally like outreach. It can increase your project values, and it can increase the amount of people, the amount of inquiries, or the amount of traffic that you and your brand and your website get. But there's your website and the videos on your website that are going to increase your conversion rate. Because if you can get someone to your website through your social media, then what you want to do is you want to help educate them, because once they've basically gone to your website, they have almost guaranteed to you that they're going to spend time educating themselves on you and your company and your offerings. And so if they have done that, it shows that they're invested and that they're interested in, just getting deeper into the sale. And so with that, we want to educate them, show them the differences. And the ways that we're going to do that is with one brand overview video. This is a 1 to 2 minute video that lives on your homepage, showing what you do and why you do it. It includes shots of your team working, shots of finished projects, and ideally you include happy clients. This is the hardest part for everybody, is getting customer testimonials, because it feels uncomfortable to ask someone to say good things about you. But in reality, if you can get over that hurdle, it's incredible the amount of conversions that that's going to increase for you and your company. It's going to make it so much easier to sell stuff and sell higher value things. So that's that. And then you have 3 to 5 completed project videos. Ideally, these live on like case study or like project pages on your website, where people can go and they can read all about the project so that they can kind of envision it happening on their property, or they can go, oh yeah, I like that bit, or I don't like that bit. And the information's all there in front of them. So that's the 3 to 5 project videos. Those are like 30 to 60 seconds usually. And basically you want to try and get as much of the project in front of someone. It doesn't have to be pretty in most cases. People want to see detail. If it is pretty, it's only going to help the experience, but it's not going to change the conversion rate. It's likely going to affect the overall project value, because if you have high project value, if you have high value work, then you make nice videos. That's how it works, right? Because you have more money to spend. And so if I see a really nice video, I must expect as a customer that you are going to charge me more money. And therefore, I will have to spend more money to get you to work on my thing. So that's how it works. If you make really pretty videos, people will want to more easily spend more money with you, but it's not going to affect your conversion rate. And the last video that you should have is you should have 3 to 10 customer testimonial videos. Again, these are the hardest things to get, but if you get them, and if you have a big chunk on your homepage that just shows all of your customer testimonials in one block, I've seen it so many times. People will just click and watch, click and watch, click and watch, and they'll listen to these people say good things about their project and how you did the work. Works every time. Crazy, crazy conversion rates. And the last thing is not a video, but it's 10 blog posts. If you can just get blog posts or articles up on your site, it just, again, kind of establishes you as a thought leader, as a person that values high quality work. And that's going to encourage people to, again, see you go deeper into the funnel, see you as a leader, and see your company as someone who's really trying to kind of stand out and take on the burden of educating people about landscaping. Okay, so that's all the content for your website. Through social, I mean, I'll send this up in the post after this in the classroom on School, but reels of you, just like the first ideas that came into my head as I was writing out this note was reels of you walking through finished properties, talking about the challenges and how your team overcame them. People love that stuff. They want to hear why it was hard to do the work that they're paying you so much money for, and then how you thoughtfully overcame those challenges, the features and materials, and why, or and why they're important, why those things cost so much money, why they look so beautiful, all those types of things. People want to nerd out about that stuff. Like there's a whole following on TikTok for cat food. People, there's this dude that just makes cat food reviews. And I'm like, I don't have a cat, but I'm not that into cat food anyway. There are millions of people that follow this dude. So just get super nerdy about the things that people are going to invest in. It works. Um, so again, a reel of you walking through finished properties and talking about the reason for certain tools or techniques. This is again kind of the same thing. You get nerdy about stuff and people respect it and they want to believe that you are a leader in the space because of it. On top of that, we have easier stuff that doesn't require you. It's reels of your team working and you just asking them what they're doing or them telling you what they're doing. Easy peasy. Reels of good landscaping you see. This is kind of a fun one and more of the infotainment side of things. But if you see good landscaping as you're driving by or you see a park or something like that, go talk about why it is that way, why this is impressive. And, people like kind of the good news. They like the good news. They want to hear that there's good things happening in the world too. So use that. Beauty shots of completed projects. I said this isn't the most important thing, and it really isn't, but having it is essential at some level. And reels of you green screened on top of screenshots of customers sending you photos or notes or emails or something like that saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just literally screenshot the email or the text or the photo that they sent you saying, oh, my grass looks so good this year. Just pop on it and be like, hey, I just got this, this note from so-and-so. We did their landscaping 2 years ago. And I just wanted to show off these gardens look fantastic. Our team's done an incredible job maintaining them, whatever it is. That sort of stuff flies. People love that. And I think it's really important. I think some people think of it as like a self-congratulatory thing where they're kind of like pumping up their own ego, but it's not. You're celebrating your team. You're celebrating your clients and their decisions in design and plantings, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's really good. And then last is just photos of completed projects, photos of your team working. That stuff also sells because you just want to show off your team. You just want to show off the good work that they've done. And you can defer all of the applause with that stuff. You could just say, wow, our team's done such a great job on this project. Whoa, our client has been so trusting on this project. And if that's what you need to do to sort of like skirt around you showing off, then do it 100%. You just need to do it. So that's that. Yeah, I've got other nerdy notes here, but I don't need to get into them. I want to just open up the floor and we can chat through anything. I appreciate everybody listening up to this point, but I really do want to open up the floor. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but every question I would love to answer. So I'm just going to fire that up. Any thoughts? I am going to make this available after too, so you'll be able to watch this, and I'm going to send through my notes so that everybody can sort of check that out. So sorry if you've been scribbling the whole time, but I want to make it as easy as possible.
I think it was great, Jay. I think there was a lot of good ideas. I've got 4 or 5 notes myself, and we talk all the time. So that was fantastic. What are your thoughts on, like frequency? I know volume is key, but
Yeah.
you know, do you think a variety of things is more important than a certain style of things? What are your thoughts on kind of too much is what is too much?
Yeah, so it all comes back for me. It all comes back to, am I helping them reach their goals? So there is a level where you're allowed to push someone towards their goals. That generally comes around in like sales or like during sale periods, or if you are getting really busy and you're like, hey, our bookings are filling up. We want to encourage you to book now. If you want to get, we have one last slot in 2025 open, get in now or in May or whatever it is. So there are times where you can change up kind of like you can shift the perspective and you can try and nudge someone towards an idea. But generally, I'm just always trying to think, and it's like it's distracting, but you're always just trying to think, hey, how can I get this person closer to their goal? If it looks like you doing a selfie one day and then doing photos of someone else another day or posting a meme, that's totally cool. I'm like, you could do all that. I think the only value that a brand has now is good performance. There's there's no reason to spend too much time thinking about how could I make this look a certain way. You just need to try. You need to throw as much shit at the wall as possible. And if it sticks, it sticks. And you make more of that. And if it doesn't, you don't do it again. That's how I do it.
And are reels still the most effective or highest volume? Yeah, still
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's just no doubt about it, especially when it comes to like TikTok has fully mastered the whole I'm going to show whatever performs well, um, show the best content to people. And I remember, I mentioned briefly about digital ads in the posting on the community, but I remember reading this great bit, and it's like you should you should almost never pay for to share your content. So you should almost never pay for a digital ad, because if you make good enough content, and you can make good enough content for everything, you can make good content for hiring someone, you can make good content for selling something. You can, if you're thinking about the person that you're trying to reach and you're trying to think, okay, what is their goal? How can I reach that person? You can make good content for it. And this person was essentially saying that you should never pay for an ad because the platforms are built to share good content now. So if you make good content, it will get shared. Like organically, it will reach a much broader audience. Or you could pay thousands of dollars and reach that audience, but that audience is getting your content forced on them, and therefore they will actually react horror to it. Therefore, only focus on making the best content, which is to say, only focus on helping your audience reach their goals. Yeah. And reels are the best way of doing that because you're able to teach them more, entertain them more. You're able to do all those things more. So, yeah.
cool.
I got a question here, Jacob.
What's up, Jake?
How are you?
Great, dude.
Good. So next year I'm gonna try and like get more into the hardscape side of things and trying to like promote or post stuff of like work I haven't done, like say like armor stone walls or anything of that sense. How would you go about kind of promoting that when you don't have any work to prove that you can do it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, man. I love that. I am, I had to do a similar thing. So Kev's going to have a great answer for this. And I'm just going to jump in right before, because when I was getting started in production, I was trying to convince people like, hey, I'm what was I, 17 years old? I'm a 17-year-old kid, and you should give me thousands of dollars because I have a camera and I'm going to make you look really good. And what I had to do was go out and shoot something that looked just like the thing that they wanted, because the only way that I could convince them to give me the money was to show them I've already made your exact thing, and now please give me money and I'll make one for you. And I always encourage people, like in production, we call it spec work. And I encourage people to follow that route. I know it's really tough to do, to basically foot the bill for that kind of stuff, but that's how I've gone about it in the past. And that's what I'd recommend, because guess what? You do it once, you do it for a family member at cost, you do it for whatever it is, and you're able to post photos, videos nonstop. You can have that friend or family member say, "Oh my gosh, Jake just crushed this. Oh, I can't wait to, everyone should hire this guy." And nobody needs to know that they're your
Yeah.
family or whatever. Anyway, Kev, I know you got juice on this. So
I liked exactly what you said. I was also going to say fake it till you make it, but
yeah, buddy.
there's lots of opportunity online, Jake, to find good photos, and it doesn't have to be, the post doesn't have to be about you completing the work. It could just be something really cool that you see, and throw a comment on it, what you like about it. And then I think Jake's suggestion about, the hardest part with trying to move forward with the type of work you do is if you haven't done it, right? And not being
Yeah.
able to post and show people or have a job to take people to makes it very difficult. But I think looking for those deals where you get a customer that has a lot of potential that maybe wants a smaller hardscape job done, and you maybe throw some stuff in for free to enhance it, so you've got something of quality or something that's going to be more representative of what you'd like to do. Subcontracting is a good way, like help out another landscaper that does quality work and be able to say that you're a part of this project.
Oh, that's huge.
So things like that'll uh, come together, and I think if you focus on them, they'll come together quicker. But um, yeah, just get started, keep posting. Um, Customer reviews are huge, like Jake's saying.
Man, Jake, one thing that comes to my mind, and Kevin just said it here, but in thinking about the content side of things, so um, I saw this one great bit at one point, scrolling through on the Wealthy Landscapers Instagram. I came upon a post, and it was by someone, and they were reviewing someone else's DIY, like at home landscaping job. And I was like, man, this is the way to establish yourself as an expert without you having to go out and actually do the work. Because this post went, quasi viral or whatever you want to call it. And it had thousands of likes on it and all that sort of stuff from a fairly, I saw they didn't really have a high following. So a fairly unknown account. But what they did was they went through and the review was actually on like an influencer's DIY backyard landscaping. And eventually at the end of the video, when he's like, yeah, so we would actually recommend doing it like this. We would lay this down. We would do it like that kind of thing. And we'd turn the stuff, whatever. But at the end of it, he goes, so they did pretty good by themselves, but congratulations, that kind of thing. And he just left it. And I'm like, I now know that this guy knows exactly, he at least knows more than I do when it comes to my DIY landscaping. So therefore, if I want a better result, I'm going to hire this person. I was like, man, that's a great way. And that's probably something that you could jump on too.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Also, man, one thing that I just want to mention too is, I wanted to talk about content because content is one of those things that like you can immediately start tomorrow. Like you can get jazzed up and you can go fire up, and it's Monday today, so Tuesday you're making videos. But the best thing that you can do is get referrals, get people talking about you, record the referral and use it as a video testimonial. It's the same thing. It's just now you're showing it to potentially thousands of people instead of, their 5 neighbors or whatever. But that is by far the best return on investment. I've talked about it in the community, but I just wanted to mention it here too for anybody who's watching. It's like content is good. Content is really good because you can just get started. But whenever you can, you want to get those referrals and get as many as you can. All right, all right, all right. Well, what time is it now? 6:26. Anything else we want to chat about? I mean, one thing that I want to talk about is, Max, why don't you tell us about some of the stuff that you're looking for, man? You're always shooting content for Muskoka Landscapers now. What's sort of what's the stuff that you see performing best? What's the stuff that you like to shoot and show people?
I don't know, not like I was actually about to ask you. It's tough, like I guess in my situation, I'm like filming the content, right? And from my background, like I do a lot of irrigation and lighting from an ML side. Like I guess the toughest thing right now is like actually getting people to react on camera or like be comfortable, if that makes sense. And even for other people, but I would say with what I've worked around is sort of just shooting away from them, if that makes sense. Like the last video I did made, or you could, yeah, sort of make with trendy music and that, like quick edit videos that take no time to make and it can go viral, or it also shows, I find nowadays, like showing inside the company itself, like what you were saying, like even if you're the owner, like walking around places, I think those are easy videos to make, and they can show a customer that who you are, I think is the biggest thing. Because a lot of people can just post a picture on Instagram or whatever, but
Yeah.
showing your personality, I think, is key.
Yeah, totally. And it allows you to people to get a
And
little taste for who you
everything
are.
I've been shooting too mostly is with an iPhone. So I wouldn't say go go out and buy a stupid priced camera or whatever, like Jake's camera solely. But no, I think you just shoot what you can and editing stuff's fairly, like with AI now, editing's effortless too. So
Yeah, buddy.
just do it.
So
How
what
do
you
you
did on
use
Friday was good.
Yeah.
how do you use AI for editing?
Well, like there's a lot of softwares now that can, like one I've used a lot recently is easy on a desktop, but CapCut and that it suggests like different. I think the biggest thing in editing, even back in the day when I edited video game stuff, is like speed ramping and all that. And I think that just alone, the transitions through clips grabs eyes and all that. But now it's you can either edit off a transcript. So say you record yourself at your desk, you can just read through what you said and like take stuff out and it edits the whole video for you. So there's like there's a lot of stuff out there that I would just go on YouTube and search best ways to edit a short clip or whatever and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. There's Opus Clips is one that we've used, CapCut. We use Descript right now for the podcast episodes, and other long format stuff that we do at Sawmill as well. It's just so much easier to get into, and it doesn't require a tech background. Like what Max was just saying, they have transcript editing. So when you import your video clips, it literally writes words for every word that you said in the video, and it's usually very, very good. I would say like 99% correct in most cases in terms of how it gets the words right. And then from there, you just read through what you said and you're like, yeah, actually, I'm going to get rid of this paragraph. Guess what? You just like backspace it in like a Word document and it's gone. It removes it from the video timeline. It's so much easier than it used to be. And especially nowadays when content is less about, all the effects and all the jazz and all that sort of stuff from when I first got into it. It's more about just getting the information across or getting the entertainment across as fast as possible. And that's what these programs are so good at doing.
Sounds easy, eh, Joe?
Just gotta click around.
You know what you got to do? And maybe one time Max and I will get on and just like go through a couple of these softwares.
I was just thinking that too. I think like showing how easy that it is really is. It's like it's more just then it turns into I gotta start filming, and once you learn how to do it, I guess. Right, Kev?
I'm not doing it. I'm counting on you, bud.
Man, you got better things to do.
Get release forms, to make everyone that you have to be on camera.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard getting used to yourself on camera, I find. Like I've done a lot of videos, but nothing that's made the press. I just cut it all. You sound like Charlie Brown and you're like, what am I doing here?
Oh no, Joe.
Yeah.
I think you'd be good at it.
I don't know. I'm trying, but it's not easy.
I would start for you, Joe. I would start with like more of the technical stuff, like explaining what you're doing. So you're not maybe looking at the camera. You're just talking about what you're doing because you've got the skills to share. Yeah,
it's just hard when you sound like Charlie Brown, but like great ideas here. Like even the pool show that's coming up. Like I'm thinking I might just bring my phone's with me. I don't know whether you would suggest miking up or just using your phone mic, because is that good quality, or is it better to mic up?
If you've got iPhone 14 plus, like anything up from there, you're set. The microphones are incredible, and they're gonna pick up the direction of your voice from wherever you are.
Because I picked up one of those gimbals, but I think I'm gonna record at the show and just try and, like you were saying, just educate, right? Like, so.
Man, if like that's the thing.
I don't know about posting every day, but I mean,
well, it's
my honestly, whole family will be like, they'll unfollow me.
I thought the same thing.
They end up following you more.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the joke about
a lot
this.
of juicy cut ups at Christmas dinner. That'll be for sure.
Yeah,
It's a
that, I mean, you're not going to
conversation.
get away from that. You're not going to
Oh
get away
my!
from that.
They're just
But
putting a
I do
bullseye on
say,
me.
I'm like, man, there's so many young guys. I mean, like, look, I appreciate you, Simon and Jake, being here, and there's so many young people getting into landscaping, and there's not a lot of people sharing knowledge still. I mean, that's why we started the Wealthy Landscaper, was because we just wanted to create a place where everyone could come together and just talk and just share the knowledge. Because if we can share the knowledge, we're going to level up the entire industry. I truly believe that. And I think that that's the power in content as well. Doing stuff like this, just having these conversations, trying to share knowledge. But if you have knowledge that people can't find easily, AKA how to landscape well, like you have to, I mean, Kev, you cut your teeth, man. Like you had to freaking come into it, right? And you pay the price at the beginning and it's hard and whatever. But if you can make content, it's so valuable to help people that are coming up, and you're going to gain a following that way. So
Yeah.
just my bit.
Good points. I just wanted to say to Jake, like my whole career, I was always, you know, trying to do something that I had never done before. So just like try and get in with your stone yards you use. Maybe the manufacturers have pictures and stuff, because that's basically how I mean, every year we were trying to do something different, and you'll find maybe there's a groove that you pick. Maybe your hardscapes is the way you want to go, but like grab some unilock pictures, and they don't have to be yours, but stuff that you think you could do. Like don't get yourself in trouble and you know, start promoting stuff that you know. Anyways, like just do it, man. Like I think that's how we all did it. So
That's a good idea, because the
I love
suppliers would be
that.
more than happy to give you good photos, Jake.
Yeah, like, and like stuff like that is like, say I were to try and do like a little promotion on Facebook ad or whatever, like using a photo that say Unilock put out there, is that illegal to
No,
post or?
I mean,
advertising their product. You're not saying it's your project.
the
You're just
lines
saying
are the
these are the
lines are
types of
so
projects we
blurred
like.
now, man. Like, I mean, you could put up a photo of freaking Kim Kardashian and Facebook's not going to catch you for a long time. It's all good.
yeah, sometimes you don't have to say everything, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, it's what you don't say, but like, you know, like customer asks you how long you've been in business, you can, you know, you can sidestep the question a little bit. Like it's hard when you're starting, but sometimes I think we overthink things. I know that I'm guilty of that. So just do it, man. Don't think too much. Just do it. Get involved with some of your stone suppliers or some of the manufacturers out there. Use their pictures. You don't have to say it's yours. You're not telling anybody it's yours. It's just stuff that we do, right?
Absolutely.
Recently
key is that you're
completed
delivering.
installation.
The key,
Yeah, it's not saying I did, I guess.
the key is that you're delivering, and you're trying to help those people.
But it happened. I love it. That's a good thing.
All right. Anything else anybody else wants to chat about? Talking about content marketing, getting those jobs.
Just one thing I wanted to ask. I maybe I'm still back in the day where I use the Instagram as my portfolio. You know, is that's the day of the dinosaur? Like that's a done thing now? Like I guess reels, they're not posts, or are they? Like you're just doing more information content on reels? Does that stay up or?
So this is kind of what I was talking about when I was saying like the only thing that matters in a brand right now is performance. Like even the luxury brands are giving you behind the scenes looks at their business. That's like never ever happened before because it was so faux pas. It was so bad to show, you know, how the sandwich was made or whatever it is. So, but nowadays that's all that matters. It doesn't matter the portfolio type imagery is good. And if your brand is built on that, you'll want to continue posting like that, but you'll definitely want to sprinkle in. If you can inject some entertainment or some education in there, man, it'll explode. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say that's what we're doing at ML now, I guess. Sort of
Totally. I mean, yeah,
portfolio.
you guys freaking yeah, you print good images. You just look at it and it's good. Like you just hold up a phone and it looks good. But it's like you can only go so far with that basically. It's like you're never going to dramatically increase your reach. But if you shoot your shot and if you just try and get as many different attempts and throw as much shit at the wall as possible, something's going to stick and something's going to really increase your reach. And then all of a sudden you just have such higher demand and you can kind of do whatever you want with that.
You think it's because people aren't connecting with the images? They want people, they want personalities, right? That's
Exactly. And social media, when it first started, was all about images. It was just like, look at the thing that I ate, look at the thing where I was, like, and that became the norm. As soon as it shifted away from that, it was not like it wasn't like a quick fix brag anymore, which is kind of what like a portfolio is. And like, you need it. Like if you go look at my website, Sawmill, if you go look at my other website, jacobbarkey.com, it's like, it's all portfolio stuff because people want to come and they want to be educated and they want to see all of your good work. But if you go to sawmill.digital on Instagram, it's just me talking now. And that's all it's going to be from now on. Which is too bad for everyone.
Should you separate it from your, no, like still keep it as part of your company, right? You're not separating.
Joe, what's your company called? Sorry.
So it's Stone Landscaping.
Well, that one works really well.
Stone Landscape.
Stone Landscaping and pools, because we're doing the pools now.
Okay.
Which Jake, I faked it, Jake, till I made it. So
nice. Yeah. Okay, so when I first came on here, I was like, I love that video of, I think it's you and your son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, this stuff is so good, but I'm like, yeah, give me more of that. Give me more of just like yes, show the portfolio pieces after you've finished a completed project, but I get just as much from you doing stuff like that and like walking me through a property with a camera or whatever. I get just as much from that because I'm getting more of the details through you than I can through a 1080 by 1080 little picture on a phone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you got going on. I would just do more of it. Basically, you can't do it wrong. You're crushing it. Kev, do you want to talk about, just before we jump off, do you want to talk about how I basically dragged you through the mud to start shooting videos?
Yeah, I know it's tough. It's tough. I struggled with it. I still struggle with it, but it's definitely getting easier. Yeah, it's tough. It's easier when you have an idea of what you want to talk about and maybe a couple little, internal rehearsals. But then the other thing I found is some of the easiest ones to do are when it's just kind of loose and you just start talking.
These are the Kev in the truck videos. They're so good.
Yeah,
they are.
They are.
But yeah, no, it's a tough thing to get started on, guys. But once you're rolling, it's fine. I think you just got to get over the fact that everybody's seeing it. Yeah, there's going to be people that don't like it. Maybe there's going to be. I think I had a lot of that at the beginning, and now it's the response is much better than I expected, and I think we're slowly getting some really good traction. Even I was going to mention, like on this call, like we've only had 4 or 5 members outside of the team, and I think we should all remember this because I see a lot more faces in the future. It's going to be good,
and we'll be here for it.
All
right. With that, any last questions, thoughts? We'll wrap it up.
All good.
Okay, wicked. Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you guys.
Jake, you're the man.
Okay, catch ya.
See you guys.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
it easy.
Good talk.